Today, as this session opens, we pray for your presence who will be before us, the one who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for your director who will lead our city to be strong and unified. We think the legacy of our founders. And to this day, the wisdom to make decisions which would be good for our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city a better place to live and work. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start, I'd just like to make two quick introductions. We had award presentations in the mayor's reception room just prior to the meeting, and they were the awards for the soup contest that took place at the Winterfest. And so I just would quickly like to recognize Kevin McGuire, who's here from the Firewater Cafe at Wamasett Lanes. And they were the winners. They were first place in the soup award, but they also won the culinary award. Kevin's here, right there. Second place for the Super Award went to the 110 Grill. They're not here. And third place went to Cobblestones, and they're not here either. And then also we gave awards for to Professor Sue Kim, who's here. And she received an award for the Massachusetts Cultural Council Gold Star Award from the Commonwealth. Professor Kim. And Jim Ostis, who's also here as well. First order of business would be the minutes for the Finance Subcommittee. Oh, I'm sorry, roll call first.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Mayor Kennedy.
Here.
Councilor Leahy.
Here.
Councilor Leary.
Here.
Councilor Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Rourke.
Here.
Councilor Samaras.
Here.
Councilor Belanger.
Here.
9 present.
First order of business will be acceptance of the minutes of the Finance Subcommittee on February 22nd, the City Council meeting on February 23rd for acceptance. We have a motion. We have a motion to accept by Councilor Rourke, second by Councilor Samaras. Discussion. All in favor. All opposed. So voted. Not being 7 o'clock, we'll skip ahead beyond the public hearings to communications from the city manager. We have motion responses. We have 4 items. The first item is item A, an update regarding the property at 58 Mammoth Road. And he's Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the manager. Thank you for a quick response, Mr. Manager. And I hope that the city can actually help out the owner of Fields. I know he's been through a couple of bad luck situations over the past year or so. So whatever the city can do to help him out, I think would be beneficial to both. Thank you.
Any further discussion on item A? If not, moving on to item B, which is 4-way stop sign at Aiken Avenue and Moody Street and Cabot Street and Moody Street. 2 of them. Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. I want to thank the manager for the timeliness of this report. Okay, I realize that because of, we'll say, state regulations and what you have, that the 4-way stop signs cannot be placed at this present time because the discussion here where you did conducted case histories which show that the area is relatively safe. But with that said, I'd like to have this area monitored. I mean, because the people in the area feel that the 4-way signs are needed, but according to the records that have been kept during a 12-month period, there have been, I think there was only one, what they call minor accident and a couple of other problems. So I understand why there's a refusal to put up the signs, but at this particular point, I'd just like to have that area monitored for safety. Thank you.
Any further discussion on item B? If not, moving on to item C, which is a relocation of the dog park. Councilor Leary.
Just first, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's obviously an issue that Councilor Mercer had worked on, and I know others, Councilor Laurie as well, and the entire council. Just, I think at this point, part of the motion too is like additional, if there's opportunity or feasibility. I do appreciate the outline of the finance behind it, but I think what we should do is I make a motion that we put it, recommend this be referred to the Parks Subcommittee, so we can have more of a detailed discussion with the parks and really looking at funding resources, if it's even applicable or doable, and then looking at options for other locations. I've heard several folks talk about different locations, but it's kind of time to nail one down because it is going to happen where we're going to need to move it. There's other talk around the different parts of the city. Maybe there's other opportunities to do it elsewhere. Again, I don't know, but I'd make that as a form of a motion to refer this to the Parks Subcommittee.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Larry, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Councilor Mercia.
Yes, thank you. I did make this motion some time ago, and the response that we got in our packet was exactly the same response that I made like a year or whatever ago. It's like it's not moving anywhere, and I think it's incumbent upon us to provide this particular service, let's say, because I know that they'll be needing the site where the dog place is, the dog park is now. So we really need to, people got used to that and enjoy that for their, and I go by and see the people with their dogs. I think it's important enough that we should try to locate a place. So if we could step up a little bit so that we're not saying they're moving there and then we don't have another site. It's important, I think, to a lot of people, especially since I love animals. So I think it would be good for them. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilor Larry, seconded by Councilor Mercia, to refer the relocation of the dog park to the Park Subcommittee. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. And next, moving on to item D, which is a petition for the easement on Fairview Street.
There are registered speakers, Mr.
We
Mayor.
have registered speakers on this matter.
Klaus and Anita Romberg.
Yes. May I speak?
Yes, name and address first, please.
My name is Klaus Romberg, and I'm here with my wife, Anita, and we petition for easement on Fairview Street. I realize the council has voted on this issue on May 5th of last year, and I'm here in an uphill battle, but on the other hand, I'd like you to consider the following points. By the way, I have made copies of my speech, and I'd like to also submit it to you so that you have it for your records. The issue at hand is approval by the City Council for us to have access to Lot B on multiple plans that we have traced back to a map by the Lowell Planning Board with a date of April 27, 1966. The Lot B is in the back of our property and abutting Fairview Street. The deed to our property, known as 155 Manser Street, and abutting in the rear Fairview Street of 1974, makes specific mention of the seller's rights to Fairview Street being conveyed. The city acquired that section of Fairview Street through tax default lien from Mr. Samaras in 1976. When Mr. Samaras was notified by the city, the new owner of said Fairview Street, to seek access easement to his property located exactly across the street from the above-mentioned Lot B, we were not notified by the city that such easement was equally required for access to Lot B. This omission should be corrected today by your approval for the same reasons of justice that granted access by way of Fairview Street to Mr. Samaras. On the issue of neighborhood opposition to us having access to our property by way of Fairview Street, please allow us to the following comments for your consideration. The arguments we heard are based on emotional pie-in-the-sky thinking, based on the desire to get something for nothing through the political process using the powers of this distinguished body. They totally ignore that we have been footing the property tax bills on our property for more than 40 years now. If they like to preserve the status quo, we'll be willing to offer the newly subdivided parcel to them for sale prior to any other considerations. The denial of access to our property by way of Fairview Street is an infringement on our property rights that were arbitrarily taken away from us without due process of law. We are not seeking any special privileges or wish to harm our neighbors. What we are asking for is equal treatment of the same kind and for the same reasons that have been bestowed to Mr. Samaras and Mrs. Samaras in 1992. We are asking for your approval of the easement if such approval is indeed legally required. The City Department of Engineering at the time of the previous vote by the council, according to the City Law Department, had determined that the grant of easement would not have any adverse consequences for the city. This is a direct quote. It is time that the inadvertent removal of access rights to our property by way of Fairview Street that we suffered through actions outside of our control is corrected. All we are asking is equality of justice that last year's vote has denied us. And I like to ask you for your consideration and vote accordingly in the positive for to our petition. And if any one of you would wish to have a copy of my little speech, maybe not exactly word by word, but I have it ready for you. If I may pass it on to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, on the speakers. Ruth Murray.
Good evening. My name is Ruth Murray. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I live at 121 Star Avenue with my husband Christopher, which is located directly across the proposed easement in Fairview Street. We see from the city solicitor's letter that the petitioner, Mr. and Mrs. Romberg, have requested the easement to pave the way for a building permit application. To be honest, we don't have full confidence in the city boards that would be sensitive to our concerns, and there are many examples in many neighborhoods of construction projects which negatively impact the neighbors. Our concerns relating to the development of this property are the same as we stated last time. That would be an impact on property values for the neighbors. And also a bigger deal for us is the issues of changes in the water table and drainage causing by any excavation which would damage neighboring properties. My husband and I, we chose to move to Lowell 9 years ago and rehab an existing property in a well-established neighborhood which offered us privacy. We did not imagine anyone would try and shoehorn another house so close to us. Within a month of moving in on a wet spring day, we came home to find a river in our basement and water cascading through the window wells. We've since learnt a lot about the drainage on the hills above us, where there are natural springs, and our sump pump runs even through the summer. After spending thousands of dollars to mitigate the water issues in our home, we have huge concerns that digging a foundation in that area above us would shift the water table and cause more problems for ourselves and maybe additional problems for our neighbors. The City Council has a rare opportunity to prevent another house being squeezed into a long-settled and stable neighborhood, and we request that the City Council protect the neighborhood by rejecting this petition once more. Thank you.
Thank you.
My neighbor Alice Hassey, I think she's already on the list.
Yes, she is.
She is here, but she's feeling very poorly, and she's asked me if I would read her statement also, if that's okay.
Sure.
My name is Alice Hassey, and I own the property of 105 Star Avenue in Lowell. My property abuts Fairview Street on one side of the boundary line and abuts the Romberg property in question on my rear boundary line. My reason for objection for the easement is twofold. At the time of purchase, when making the decision whether or not to purchase my home, I was told that the land behind my home would not be developed, and that was one of the main factors in making the decision to purchase my home. As the Romberg property in question overlooks mine, any existing privacy would be lost. The enticement of Belvedere was a suburban-like setting, and now there is a house on every inch of vacation land, including the cluster of homes built on Mansur Street, which are pretty much on top of each other. Most importantly, the issue is regarding the drainage. Our properties are on the side of a very steep incline, and anyone building a home on that property is most likely going to have to cut into the side of the hill, which will displace the current water table and drainage pattern and cause adverse impact to my home. I would request the city have a water expert come out to the property and view the area. Based on the topography of the property, it is visually evident that the drainage runoff and disturbance to the water table will negatively impact my home. There is a steep drop at my boundary line from the Romberg's property to mine. If the Romberg's request is approved, the builder of the new home will most certainly ensure the homes being built are not will not be impacted by water issues and have no concerns as to the negative impact on my home. As with most people who purchase our homes, this is the largest investment we make in our lifetime. The question is, how will the easement request impact the surrounding homes? Between the increase in density of the homes surrounding my property and any impact regarding water issues, this will significantly devalue my home and the immediately surrounding homes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, there were two submissions made by Gail Picard and Joseph Trapani. I don't know if they're present, but I put the submissions on each councilor's desk before the meeting this evening.
Okay, and the record should also show that Council Samaras has been out of the chamber for this entire discussion. Council Brooke? Okay. Any discussion? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to, Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we all had received this communication from McClung. Excuse me, just want to get the names correct. We from the Romberg, excuse me. And we hadn't met for quite some time, so I wanted to ensure that this was given a full discussion of this. Questions to you, Mr. Manager, or I suppose the engineer. We've just heard of water issues in the neighborhood. We did receive a letter indicating that there's runoff up there as well. Is this the first time you've heard of this, Mr. Manager? That
yes, through you,
Ms.
Mr.
Murray
Manager.
just
Yeah,
indicated
this is the first
that
that we've heard of any that. Yeah.
So if I could just have Ms. Murray come up again, I wanted to ask her a question. Is this you were talking about water in your basement, and is that an issue throughout the neighborhood?
I believe so, yeah. Several houses in the neighborhood have similar issues. We've had to we put in 2 French drains, and we put an inside drain in our basement, and our sump pump still goes off.
And Ms. Picard also, she wrote a letter talking about runoff. She's a neighbor of Alice Hassey.
I have French drains in the back of my house
I'm sorry, I
She
can't.
says she has French drains in the back of her house which currently handle the water right now.
Okay.
We live on a steeper slope, just where behind the property is. We never had water, and there, we saw in another place, the knowledge, they never had the water problem. That's on the same level as this woman. It's the way it's built, and it's drained. You were just 9 years there, we are 40 years there, and we never had a problem. So maybe it has something to do with the building, or the drainage.
Councilor Elliott, go ahead. Do you have another question?
No, I guess that answers the question if there are water issues. Water issues with, when your house was built? When your house was built?
I'm guessing, yeah, we weren't there. We've only been here 9 years.
Okay.
We are 40 years there, and we never had a problem. So
Do you have anything else, Councilor Elliott?
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. My recollection is when this came before the council previously, which was quite some time ago, that there was testimony given to the council at that time that there was water. Anyways, if there's no further discussion, the chair would entertain a motion to accept the communications from the city manager and place them on file. We have a motion to that extent by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Moving on, the next item of business is a communication. That's it, Mr. Romberg. There's no more discussion on this. We have a communication, report and recommendation from the planning board to amend zoning ordinance Article 2 and Article 11, specifically Section 11.4, site plan review. And that is that recommendation is to approve. We have a motion to accept the communication,
Yes.
place it on file by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Rourke. Yes, Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very happy to see this amendment to this Article 2 with private school. I know that it isn't every day that we build private schools, but we do have charter schools come into the city, and I like to know that there's adequate sidewalk so our children do not have to walk in the street. So I'm very pleased to see that this is requiring that any school that would come into any area of the city would be responsible for setting up infrastructure in such a way that children aren't walking in streets. So that's very good. I'm happy to see that.
Thank you, Councilor. So we have a report to accept the communication,
Yes.
place it on file. Any further discussion? All in favor, all opposed, so voted. We have another communication to appoint Christopher Root to the Board of Parks. We have a motion to approve. Motion approved by Council Rourke, sent by Council Leary. Discussion on the motion, Council Mercy.
I don't have a problem with this. I know Christopher Rue very well. He's quite a capable young man. Are we filling a vacancy here? And who is the vacancy that is leaving?
Thank you.
Because I didn't see anything.
Manager.
I didn't see anything in the communication that stated that. So
I believe it's a man by the name of Merrill is,
Alan.
I think there
Merrill?
was I'm not sure, I can't
Okay.
certify, but.
But he's filling a vacancy.
Yes,
That's all I wanted to know.
Yes, Mr. Merrill, for personal reasons, I
Sure,
resigned,
that's
but
fine,
it is a
that's
vacancy,
fine.
yes.
Any further discussion, Councilor Elliott?
So could you let us know, Mr. Manager, in the future, I know we talked about this, about board vacancies, but I know a couple of women that would like to be part of, there's no women on that board, and considering the nature of how many sports are, clearly, there's a lot of young ladies in participation. I think it was important. We always used to try to keep diversity. I know Al Miller was from the soccer organization, so just moving forward and trying to keep that in mind. I'll forward you the names of those individuals that are
Mr.
interested.
Manager.
No, thank you. We certainly will entertain anybody if they give us the resumes. As a matter of fact, we're working now on a motion from Councilor Milanazzo relative to the appointments on the boards. We've done very well, made a lot of progress on these. And I think you're going to be satisfied with the diversity of the appointments also that have been made. But we have openings come up all the time, and if they would just give us their resumes, Mrs. Moynihan keeps a file with all of the different resumes, and when a position comes up, we try and put the person in the right spot.
Yeah.
So Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that, Mr. Manager, at all whatsoever. It's one of these processes, people want to volunteer, but they like to volunteer with something where they have some interest or expertise, so, sort of just sending a resume in. And I think regularly letting people know that there are vacancies. As you mentioned, you're filling it with a lot of, with diversity, and there's interest, but it's a struggle, I know, getting that regular message that, hey, we have a board open, position on the Board of Parks or zoning or conservation, because there's always a need. So thank you. Appreciate that information, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Okay. Roll call?
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Leary.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo.
Yes.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
Counselor Samaras.
Yes.
Counselor Belanger.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
Thank you. Christopher Rue is here, I think. Would you like to just introduce yourself briefly?
We referred it to the city manager, Darwin.
I want to thank Manager Murphy for presenting me and the City Council for approving me and allowing me the opportunity to serve. Growing up in the city, being involved with the parks and the recs as a child, I understand how important it is. Having my 3 kids here, I understand the importance of the Parks and Recs Department and the opportunity it affords the residents of Lowell. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next order of business is a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a license agreement with AC/DC Wireless, doing business as Cricket Wireless for an overhanging sign at 120 Merrimack Street. If there's no objection, we'll do the second reading just by title. Authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with AC/DC Wireless, doing business as Cricket Wireless, to encroach upon the city of Lowell property at 120 Merrimack Street in Lowell, Massachusetts. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Leahy. Discussion on the motion. Roll call.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Leary.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo.
Yes.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
Counselor Samaras.
Yes.
Counselor Belanger.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Moving on to subcommittee reports, we have a report from the Technology and Utility Subcommittee on March 1st. Councilor Leary.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess in attendance for the meeting was Councilor Leahy, Councilor Elliott from the subcommittee. In addition, there was Councilor Mercier, Councilor Belanger, Councilor Samaras, and I'm probably forgetting somebody at this point, but I think it was a well-attended meeting. And all their councilors came in during the meeting. The topics were initially to talk about a motion that was referred regarding the wireless poles on Hale Street specifically. At that point, with discussion with Verizon and Verizon Wireless, they're wanting to withdraw that at this point in time because they're going to submit a proposal for a master agreement. So we definitely took that as acknowledgement that we would receive something in the future regarding that, as well as an outline plan going forward. The other parts of the discussion were regarding really 3 main issues. One was direct fiber connections, 2, the FiOS, and 3, the cost and the concern with the rising costs that are submitted to the citizens. We articulated points regarding startup companies in the city that would need to have this direct fiber access. We did have a good opening dialogue with Verizon. I think the way the meeting was generally left at this point is that we're going to have more of these conversations with the subcommittee. I envision when the master master proposal comes from Verizon and Verizon Wireless, we'll have this referred back to a subcommittee for additional dialogue. All the councilors had I'll let the councilors speak on their own regarding their questions and concerns. They were all well placed. I think there's been a challenge that we've had working with Verizon. Verizon is our partner. It is a large employer in the community, so there are good things that they do. I think it was very good that we did have representatives from both Verizon and Verizon Wireless. In addition, I know their attorney's still here as well. So we're very appreciative of that, and I think we expressed that to a person regarding that. But at the end of the day, I think the challenges that part of the dialogue we're going to be having more is why is it not cost advantageous to have similar to technology similar to what, say, the city of Lawrence has? or the town of Chelmsford has, or as Councilor Elliott articulated, his neighbors in Tingsboro right across the border have. They entered in some of the dialogue trying to explain that they do have interesting technologies out there that are meeting our needs, and I think that dialogue needs to continue. Concerning FiOS and concerning the pricing, that was obviously a major concern. I think today what they are basically presented is that they are no longer in the FiOS business. So there's more to be had here, but it's going to be a challenge that we need to start looking kind of more like at the state level in terms of having this worked at their level. I think some of the interesting, if you look in through the media and through other communities, what they're looking at, and I think the previous councils has looked at as well, is really information regarding setting up your own public utility to move through that infrastructure. Obviously, that's costly. I think you've looked at that last time, but I think it's something that bears looking at again. And working with Verizon to see where, trying to move them into a direction to say, listen, we are a high technology city now. We are a startup city now. This might actually be cost advantageous to you to do this. They're going to present discussions saying we are doing it. So I think that dialogue, and we had about an hour to discuss that. We have more coming. But that's kind of the general gist of the conversation. So I guess in essence, I'll let the councilors speak on their own in terms of their preferences. But there's more to be had here and more information that we'll be discussing in the future.
Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I concur with Councilor Leary. Did a nice job chairing that subcommittee meeting. It was well attended, and all of us in the council fought very hard for our residents. Now, the holy grail here is to obviously bring Verizon FiOS to the residents of the city of Lowell. Okay, being an older city, where we have historic districts and a lot of condominium complexes, satellite dishes don't work for many in the city. It's not really an option for too many residents in the city. They have to face a certain direction. I believe it's northwest or northeast, and who wants a satellite dish in the front of their house? So in many cases, satellite dishes do not work. Therefore, the city of Lowell and its residents are down to one cable provider, without mentioning any names. And a lot of the residents throughout the city and this council feels our residents are being gouged. It is very costly, and the reason for that, I believe strongly, is that there is no competition. If Verizon were to offer that another cable option to our residents, there'd be some competition, the price would come down dramatically. So we are working diligently on that. We did not receive good news this evening. We are told that Verizon has canceled any plans throughout the state, and I believe the country, to expand its FiOS program, so that was not good news. However, this council is going to continue to advocate hardly for our residents to offer a different option for them. We have many seniors, we have many low-income residents, that cable is becoming unaffordable, and they are entitled to that as well. So we are going to continue to advocate. Verizon is in this council chambers, if not every week, every other week, asking for a double poll, asking for some sort of relief, and I believe this city has been very, very accommodating, and we should. However, we're looking for relief for our residents at the same time. So I just wanted to let the folks at home know and those in the audience that although tonight did not go all that well, but we're going to continue to aggressively pursue other options for our residents of the city of Lowell, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. I just wanted to also add that, so when we started the meeting, it kind of got, agenda items were moved off, and they're going to come back at a later date with a new proposal for what they had first recommended about putting the antennas, I believe, on the poles. And so the council basically sent the message that, we demand more from a big company like that. And when they first made their proposal for the rent per month, plus I believe it was a 3% increase yearly, that's not a good deal for the city of Lowell, and we made that apparent to them. They've got to come back with a fair deal, because whether it's computer, TV, or wireless phones, as the council said, we feel that we're getting the price never goes down. It keeps going up and up and up. So they've got to be fair with the city of Lowell too. When they come to us with the rental agreement, it's got to be a legitimate one. So I hope they get that message, and we'll see what happens when they come back. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion? Chair will entertain a motion to accept the report from the subcommittee as a report of progress.
Motion is report of progress.
We have a motion for report of progress, seconded by Counselor Mercia. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Being shortly after 7 o'clock, we'll go back on the agenda to the public hearings. We have 2 public hearings scheduled for today. Counselor Mercia, did you?
I wanted to suspend the rules and offer a point of personal privilege on a matter that took place last week and publicly offer my apology to Councilor Rodney Elliott for not seconding a motion that goes against everything that I stand for, and that I did not second his motion. Nobody makes me do what I don't want to do, but for some reason I overlooked the fact that he sat here, in my opinion, because I've been there, where I didn't get a second for a motion, and it's humiliating, and I didn't want anybody to ever feel like that, and I did not second a motion, even for the chance of discussion. I firmly believe that it's a courtesy that we apply to each other, and to not have seconded his motion made me go home feeling very upset with myself for having not done that, and I wanted to publicly apologize to my colleague, Councilor Rodney Elliott, for not seconding a motion. It doesn't matter if I supported it or not. There's no harm in seconding a motion for discussion, and I didn't even allow that to happen, and I wanted to tell him that my colleagues, I could only speak for myself, I would never do that to anybody, and I did that to someone, and I don't know what, I was not even thinking last week, and I let it pass by, so I want to tell you how sorry I am, and I would never allow that anybody to be humiliated. And then to see it in the column, I said, oh my God. So thank you for letting me say that. I'm very, very sorry.
Okay, thank you. We'll open up the public hearing to, the
Thank you,
first
Councilor
public hearing is to amend zoning ordinance, section 11.4, site plan review sidewalk standards to schools not operated in the school district. We'll open up the public hearing for those who wish to speak in favor. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Eric Slagle, the Director of Development Services. As the council's aware, this ordinance was drafted at the request of Councilors Belanger and Mercier in order to provide the planning board with additional kind of guidance and enforcement powers to mandate the appropriate pedestrian-friendly sidewalks around schools. I think we've done it in a way that's reasonable and allows the private schools to prepare the analysis while giving the city the right, through the city engineer and the traffic engineer, to review the analysis for its appropriateness and to include whatever appropriate recommendations they believe into the site plan review conditions. We worked hard on this ordinance in an effort to try to capture what we believe the council was looking for and what made sense for both the city and the educational institutions in the city. So if you have any questions about how we came to it, I'd be glad to answer that, but I do think we came to an ordinance that was appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else who wish to speak in favor? In favor, in favor, hearing none. We'll close the public hearing on behalf of the proponents and open it up for the opponents. Anybody who wishes to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing for the opponents and open it up for discussion of the council. And the chair would just remind the council that there was a communication already accepted from the planning board recommending that we move approval on this. Do we have a motion to approve? We have a motion to approve by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Councilor Leahy.
Yes.
Councilor Leary.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Samaras.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Okay, the second public hearing is for a loan order for bridge repair bonds. The chair would open up the public hearing for those who wish to speak in favor.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Manager, staff. I'm in favor for this motion. I think it's a good motion. A lot of these bridges in the city
Name and
are really
address.
in bad shape.
Name and address, Mr.
Armin Hebert,
Yep.
499 Wild, sorry.
It's okay.
A lot of these bridges in the city are really in bad shape. If you look at the repair records, they've gone years back before they've been repaired. And the repairs they did do on them were cosmetic. They were putting Jersey barriers up on these bridges. You know, the worst thing is when you're driving down a road and all of a sudden you see a sign, bridge out. You know, we're rebuilding this city here with the manager taking full control here of the city. I mean, I'm working on the garages now. I see your staff over there. I seen your staff out there. Your staff is doing a great job. And yourself, you're doing a great job there. We really got to get this city up to date with all this projects going on, the Hamilton Canal, trying to get the new schools in, getting them repaired. The bridges are very important to the city. You drive over them, especially all those bridges you took over from the Anel people, in really rough shape. Garages were in rough shape. I'm working on them now. I can't believe how bad the garages are, and they're repairing them now. But, you know, my main concern with this is getting residents on these jobs, okay? I had asked Councilor Rourke months ago to bring a proposal for a residency requirement. The council approved it unanimously, then it was brought back that there was some type of stipulation. Well, I did the city a big favor. I got a lawyer, and I had him look into this ordinance. The ordinance, let me see what he has to say here. I've been harassing him too, so he don't like me anymore either. But the ordinance was brought in 1988. It was voted in for residents and fair practice. That means all the other stuff that insurance required, training programs, stuff like that, you know, women in the workforce. In 2008, it was never, he couldn't find any record that it was voted out. It was just left off. He couldn't find a reason why it was left off the ordinance. He says there's ordinance in the city dating back to the 1800s. He said for some reason this ordinance was left off. So he did some further research on other cities with this ordinance. And from what he found out, it's never been challenged in a court of law as unconstitutional. Okay? So in legislature in Article 20 shows no reason why a city cannot impose a residency requirement on their public projects. Okay, so that's one of my main concerns with this here. I think with the council, I don't want to say what he said. What has to be done here is the council has got to bring it back up and push it through. That's all it needs. It just needs a vote of the council. I don't want to put what he put down because I've been aggravating him. It's up to you, councilors, to take a stand and put this back in here. This was done before election. Mr. Leahy wasn't here, but it was voted 9 to push it through and then all of a sudden it was just dropped on a letter stating that it could be overthrown. Well, it's held in several cities in the state, and it's never been even challenged for a residency requirement. So for anybody to cite that it could be challenged is wrong. I see a lot of things go through this council over the last year, and a few weeks ago there was a thing on guns, and the solicitor cited an article that's an ordinance in Boston that right now is being challenged. And you councilors, not all of you, and everybody knows who voted for it, for something that's being challenged to pass and get into an ordinance in this city is really, I can't understand. Like I told you before, I'm not a lawyer, so I went and got one. I did the legwork for the city on this, and there's no reason that this city doesn't have a residency requirement. I apologize to you, Mr. Manager, because I thought it was you that didn't want this residency clause, and I do apologize. You got a great staff. They're out there working hard. but it's up to the council.
Mr. Mayor, we're way off topic here.
This is a
way
public
off
hearing.
topic.
This is a public hearing on,
On a bond. This is a hearing on a bond.
Oh, but it's about a bond, but it,
Correct, but you're off topic.
well, you know what? I may be off target, but who, I got a question. All right, Mr. Mayor, to you,
no.
the city manager,
Nope.
who pays
You
for
don't
this bond?
Mr. Hebert, you don't get to ask any
Who
questions.
pays for this bond?
You don't get to ask any questions.
Oh, I don't get to ask any questions?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's a public hearing,
But
so
I
you
think,
get to-
okay, I'm gonna use my own interpretation. The residents of the city are gonna back this bond. They're the ones who are gonna pay for this bond. So, for you people to sit here and say, I'm out of order, I guess, because I'm speaking on something that's for the city, for the residents of the city, it's totally wrong. You people just let this drop last time. I'm gonna throw it at you, councilors.
Mr. Hebert.
You know what? I don't care. You know what? You people just let it drop, all right? You cannot show just cause why this was never passed and why it was even taken off, all right?
Because it had been
I do
challenged.
support this,
It's been
I do
challenged.
support this motion.
It's been
If
challenged.
anybody wants to talk to me after, I'm right outside.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
But
Anybody else
thank
wants to
you,
speak in
Mr.
favor?
Manager, and I think you and your staff are doing a great job.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor? In favor, hearing none, close the hearing on behalf of the proponents. Who wishes to speak in opposition? Anybody in opposition? In opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing on behalf of the proponents, open it up to the city
Move
council.
approval.
We have a motion to approve by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Milonazo. Discussion on the motion, roll call.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor.
Council Elliott.
So, just so the people at home know, we want people from Lowell to be hired to do work on Lowell projects as well. There are laws. These projects are bid. They're bid, and the lowest bidder is a construction company, and they have their employees, and we urge them, just as we are doing in the Hamilton Canal and so many other, we can't make them. But we also want the best price. And I just think it's important that people know, yes, they are paying the bill. It is tax dollars. But they're a prevailing wage, there are bid laws, and we have to stay in compliance with the laws too. So I thought it was important to let people know that, yes, it's Lowell tax dollars, it's Lowell projects. We want Lowell people, we'll do everything we can, but we can't break the law.
Thank you, Council. Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one quick question, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager. Mr. Manager, do you have the terms and the interest rate at your disposal at this time, or?
Mr. Manager.
We haven't borrowed, this will allow us to borrow the money, but we project the interest rate to be around 3%. We won't know until we actually go out with the bonds. I think it's important to note that of the 3.6 is that the University of Lowell is going to be paying for the vast majority of the principal and interest on it, correct? They're paying for 2 of the 2.6, so it's a very good collaboration that we've entered into with the university. So I think it's important for the residents to know that we're paying for just the 0.6 debt, principal, and interest on it.
Correct. I was clear on that. Thank you, Mr. Manager. That sounds like a 3%, and that vicinity is a very, very competitive rate, Mr. Manager. I think it's conducive to the good bond rating the city of Lowell has and our credit ability. So well done. That sounds very competitive. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, so we have a motion to approve. This matter has to be referred back to the city clerk's office for 20 days, so the motion actually should be to approve and refer it back to the city council for 20 days. If there's no objection, that'll be the motion. Second, roll call on the motion.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilor Leahy?
Yes.
Councilor Leary?
Yes.
Councilor Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Rourke?
Yes.
Councilor Samaras?
Yes.
Councilor Belanger?
Yes.
It's 9 yeas.
That concludes the public hearings. We'll move on to item 6.1 on the agenda, which is we have one property claim. Chair would entertain a motion to refer to the Law Department for a report and recommendation. We have a motion to do that by Council Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Samaras. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Under miscellaneous, we have a request from Patrick Hamilton to address the City Council regarding the improved use of the social media in the city.
Mr. Hamilton?
Hamilton here.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Name
The
and address, please.
Oh, sorry. Patrick Hamilton, 18 Llewellyn Street. The resolution being presented is because I believe we as a city, and specifically the legislative body, can improve on how we reach out to citizens and how we let them know what's going on, specifically relating to the government of the city. So last Monday I did a little experiment and I tried to find the previous week's city council meeting online. So I went to YouTube, I typed in Lowell City Council, and I couldn't find anything. There were a few old clips from older meetings, and the Michigan Lowell City Council had stuff up. So I went onto Facebook, I did the same thing. I typed in Lowell City Council, and I couldn't find anything. There's a City of Lowell page, but I noticed it seemed to be more geared towards posting events, things that are happening in the city, and it also only been updated a handful of times. So I went onto Twitter, I did the same thing, and yielded the same results. So I went onto the City of Lowell's website, and I couldn't really find anything on the homepage saying like previous city council meetings or anything like that. I did find a link for meeting agendas, but it just had like the text form of it. And a lot of people, whether they're working 2 jobs now or, I can only intelligently speak for my age group, and a lot of people are going to school during the day and then working at night, so they don't have the time to go read it. So I clicked on the city departments, and there was a drop-down link to the city council. And there wasn't really an organized list, but there was I did find a link in the text saying that click here to go to ltc.org, and it led me to a page with the video player. And this video player had channel 8, channel 95, and channel 99. And so by this point, I still, as a blank slate, I still had no idea what time the meetings were or what channel I could find them or even what day of the week. So there was a little schedule at the bottom, and I managed to get to channel 99, where there was on the schedule at 6:30 every day, it said that there was like a blank space. It didn't say what programming aired during that time. So I went back and checked every Tuesday to July of last year, and I still couldn't find anything. So from this point, as somebody who doesn't already know, I would still have no idea how to find a previous city council meeting. So I went back to the meeting agenda, found the date, found out it was on Tuesdays, and finally I was able to type it in the search bar at the top of the LTC website, and I found a video player for it. But all that, for me, that shows that while there's good intentions, and I believe the city definitely wants people to be more involved, I think that we have all these great tools at our disposal that we can use at very, very little cost or no cost to help, reach out to our citizens. While people, especially people my age, they might not be as willing to watch a city council meeting on a Tuesday night, if they're going through their Twitter or whatever, and they see, oh, city council votes on such and such, they might be more inclined to come in. And, I'm not suggesting that creating a Twitter will, make the voter turnout 90% and, have 2,000 people in here. But, I think it's a low-cost, easy thing we can do to just get a little bit more interest in the workings of the city government. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your concerns. I think everything that you want to find on social media and on the internet concerning the city and the city council meetings specifically is on the internet. Actually, I think that during his time as mayor, Mayor Elliott was a leader in that area with his Twitter page, his Facebook page of getting everything and anything out there on social media. The LTC.org website lists every single subcommittee, every single commission meeting, every single city council meeting. The dates are all there. The subject matter for every meeting is always online, posted. It's actually, it's public law. It has to be posted as well. So maybe, Mr. Manager, you want to take his name and number down, and those, Twitter pages, the, Facebook pages, YouTube, the internet, all those can be given. And maybe you can put them on the website just as a quick reference point. But I think the city does an outstanding job. I actually think, Mr. Manager, since your time in place, you've been a pioneer in that area of getting, the water department, the police department, the fire department, the mayor's office. I think that the city has really been a leader in that area. So maybe just something you can put a quick post, one quick page to put to all those sites on there. Thank you.
So, Council Rourke, that's Motion to refer to the manager's
Please.
report and recommendation, seconded by Councilor Samaras. Discussion, Mr. Manager?
This actually is very timely because we have just engaged the services of an outside firm to update and improve our website because we understand that it's always an evolving technology. So we're going through that right now, so we'll certainly look at some of the suggestions that Mr. Hamilton made, and we have his phone number and his address that we can contact him on, but it's very timely that we're going through that process right now. What's the name of the company that's... The name of the company that we're dealing with on the website?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there's a couple companies we're looking at. One is Civic Plus, the other one is VTS.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Leary.
So, first of all, thank you very much. No, we've had offline discussions briefly about the website and the improvements needed, so I think it is timely. Mr. Hamilton's concerns, they're valid. I mean, there is a challenge to do, and I know you recognize that, and I think the work that we're going to put into it will definitely make that a lot easier. And I echo what Councilor Rourke was saying. I know what Mayor, Councilor Elliott did regarding his Twitter, his Facebook page was excellent. But not everybody gets that. It's something they go right to the website, and they want to be able to get directed from there. So I appreciate you and your team looking at that. I think that it will be a major enhancement, and it definitely, there's something you got to look at all the time anyway, because the technology evolves. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercia.
Yes, when I saw this in our packet, I wasn't too sure. When I see the word YouTube, I really don't know what to think of. I would get kind of shy away from YouTube or Twitter or whatever. I'm not really that mechanically inclined for social media, but I'm very honored to hear all the good things that he had to say, Patrick Hamilton, and I'm very shocked to know that people his age are interested in watching a city council meeting, so that gave me revitalized hope in the youth of our city. So anything that would bring in more viewers on their own time, I know that he's right. Everything he said was right on the money. People don't tune in on any Tuesday night to see that. They work or they go to school. They're doing many other things. It was always my understanding that you could review any past city council meeting at a tape or something at the library. So, sometimes people forget we have a beautiful institution next to it, namely the Lowell Public Library that has these things, but this is another way to look at it. I never thought of that, and so it's nice to be refreshed to hear the youth of our city. I wish I was in your age category there, Mr. Young, Mr. Hamilton, so thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Elliott.
Thank you. Patrick, could you come to the podium for a second? Because I'm not sure, it's not so much finding the website, or it's really doing a search and trying to locate it. I mean,
Yeah,
the kids really, they're not on Firefox. I mean, they're on Google Chrome now, and you want to be able to say, hey, City of Lowell meeting, and it pops up on YouTube, right? And it's not on YouTube, but I think it's easy. It's an easy enough fix. I bet you LTC can just upload on YouTube, right?
Yeah, and I think it's not something that's a complicated fix, or that I wouldn't say it's really a problem. I just think it's something that we could improve on a little bit, and just, I'm sure in 10 years there will be things other than Facebook and YouTube that we can access. Yeah. So I think it's just, it's just a useful, quick little thing that we can do that, like for me, being my age, my first instinct when I wanted to watch anything that was a video was go on YouTube. That was the first thing I thought of. It kind of, going on a separate website that the city coordinates with was sort of very far back in my train of thought in terms of looking for it. So.
That is the next generation. I mean, you don't want the city manager to be tweeting during a city council meeting, right? I mean, you're not going to be.
No, that probably wouldn't be the best idea, but.
You never know. Yeah.
All right, so it's really YouTube and uploading it. So when you do a search, and that's sort of the audience that you're looking.
Yeah, and I think today's shown, like just going through Facebook, I have a lot of friends, around my age who went out and voted today and are posting who they voted for and doing things. And I don't think that it's, I know sometimes my generation has people look at it negatively, but I think it's the same with every generation. It's just different. And I think today will show that people my age are very willing to go out and vote.
Yep.
I just think if we kind of, if we can find a way to reach out to them and show them that, hey, we care about your generation too. We want to evolve and do things the way you do, as well as, like, I didn't even think of going to the library. That's a great medium. And I'm sure, in 20 years, somebody will look at me and say, I didn't think of going on YouTube, So.
Library or YouTube? Okay, well, that's good. Thank you. Thank you for explaining a little bit more. I think we have a better understanding of the motion. I mean, they're on Instagram and Snapchat and, not at the library.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, all opposed? So voted. Next is under miscellaneous is a Living Water Center for Hope. Request to provide information to the City Council regarding a new program, The Catalyst, a new street paper. Do we have a speaker for that?
Yeah, we do. Ryan White or Diane Waddle.
Yep. Hi, my name is Diane Waddell, and I'm the Executive Director of Living Waters Center of Hope at 10 Kirk Street. And I want to thank you for letting us come and speak. Living Waters has been serving the poor and homeless in Lowell since 1998. And we're very passionate about serving them. And we have some new programs that we want to share with you. One of them is Catalyst, but we're starting this research project at Living Waters, and I just want to bring you some figures that we're really concerned. Last year we had 14,000 visits. Every time someone comes into Living Waters, they sign a guest book, 14,000 people. And we're not just homeless, and I know a lot of people think we're just homeless. We're not. We serve everyone. We serve people that are in poverty. We serve whoever is in need. And so I've just made a list of people's ages and their income that they make and how they get their income and what's left after they pay rent. We have a gentleman that's 54. He's on SSDI. His income is $1,000 and his rent is $900 a month. 48 years old, SSDI and SSI, $783 a month. Their rent is $650. 27 years old, SSDI, $738 is their income, $650 is their rent. 47 years old, 70 SSDI, they make $733 a month, and their rent is $700. We have this one woman that we just helped house. She makes $800. It's $733 a month. Her rent is $700. She has $33 left at the end of the month. And Living Waters we have this new program, it's called the Bridge Program, and we're trying to help people to get from one place to the other. And we help people with their, like, if you're paying getting $733 a month, and your rent is $700 a month, you only have $33 a month. And there's a lot of people in the city of Lowell that are living like that on the edge. And we're really fearful that the homeless numbers are going to rise. So we're getting aggressive. Living Waters is not about a handout, we're about a hand up. So we've created some bridge programs. One of them is called One Home, where we're housing people with wraparound services. We're starting Maker's Space, and we're also starting the Catalyst, which I want to introduce Ryan White, and he'll share with you about, right here, Catalyst. So he's going to share with you about.
Hello. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Ryan White, and I'm representing the Catalyst over at 10 Kirk Street. Just really appreciate it. And to put things in context, as Diane kind of laid the foundation for myself, I'm going to just read a quote from Seth Godin. He's an American entrepreneur and public figure. The difference between being 1 penny behind and 1 penny ahead is profound. If you're 1 penny behind, then every day you fall further back. Every day the emergencies get worse, the stress gets worse, your abilities to survive, never mind thrive, gets worse. If you're 1 penny ahead, though just a penny, then every day you build a reserve. Every day you are able to invest in productivity or peace of mind, and soon you are 2 pennies, or $1, or $5 ahead. And then you can send your daughter to college, and then you can buy something from the merchant next door. And then you can plant a better crop. And then you have a stake in the community. And then the world changes. Seth Godin. So the catalyst, if you don't mind, I have a few papers I would like to pass out. Is that all right?
Sure.
The catalyst is created on the street paper model. The street paper model is actually, here, I'll just give you guys a bunch. Appreciate it. Some more right here. Thanks, sir. The street paper model exists in over 113 cities all over the world, in 35 different countries, 25 different languages. Basically, a group of people create content, creates a paper. And then we have vendors, or people that want to become vendors. How do you become a vendor? You have to come through an interview. You have to sit down and go over a code of conduct. You have to sign that code of conduct with a witness. We go through an orientation. And then the person is given 15 complimentary papers. And at this point, it really is just giving a man a fish, if you know the old analogy. They go out onto the street and they vend each paper for a suggested donation of $1. And at that point, they can do what they want with their money, or they can come back to Living Waters and the Catalyst and purchase more papers at the cost of print. Therefore, this becomes a micro-enterprise. They're seen in our eyes as independent contractors. This is really, as Diane says, not a handout, but a hand up. And the benefits of this is great. She just mentioned people that are living on $33 a month. Selling the Catalyst isn't going to make anybody wealthy, that's for sure, right? But what it is capable of doing is allowing somebody to stay in their house, make an extra few $100s a month. What it is capable of doing is putting some supplemental income into a person's pocket for a meal. What it is capable of doing as well is, because we do have uniforms, we have these great messenger bags that are actually made by guests of Living Waters, people that are homeless or, are not. It just creates opportunities for these people. So it's for the unhoused, those on fixed income, and the economically marginalized. They'll be wearing uniforms. After the code of conduct and the orientation, we have customer service training. They'll be polite and courteous to, and not aggressive to their customers and people on the street. And we just want to be a viable alternative to panhandling in the city. We want to come in and just so a person isn't able to hold that sign up anymore that says, "Will work for food." Because if you will work, we will be there. And we'll be open, and we'll drop the barriers that exist between a person living in economic straits and an income. That's what we aim to do.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Chair will entertain a motion to refer to the city manager for a report and recommendation by Councilor Milonazo.
No.
We have a motion of that by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Discussion, Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think those of you that know me know that I am a compassionate person, but what I just heard is, in my opinion, is nothing more than panhandling with a newspaper. Again, when Living Waters first came into the city, I actually met with the head of Living Waters in a previous position that I had, just to express my objection. I was with City Manager Bernie Lynch at the time. And they promised all kinds of things that were going to be going on there, which in my opinion have not come to fruition. In my position, on my farm position, I actually went there at noontime, served meals and so forth, and it was mentioned they turned no one away. And when I was there, I was serving meals to high school kids, because they said, we can come here and get a meal for free, we don't have to go across the street to Subway and pay. Enterprise Bank ended up hiring a security guard shortly after they went in because of issues with the location. So again, you can refer this to the city manager if you'd like, but again, my opinion, and I support a lot of homelessness issues in the city, this is no more than panhandling with a newspaper, in my opinion. So again, I would obviously look to what my colleagues have to say on the issue, but again, I don't know where these folks, I know they work out of Correct Street. I don't know if they live in Lowell. I mean, this is our home, and we do an awful lot to help the homeless through Community Development Block Grant, Home Funds, the Housing Authority, and on. Again, they listed in the newspapers the various resources that are here in the city. We are a city. We take issues like this very seriously, but I'm just afraid this is going to turn into nothing but litter in the downtown and panhandling with a newspaper. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion?
May I respond to that?
No.
No.
So the motion is to refer to the city manager for a report and recommendation. No further discussion. All in favor of the motion? All opposed? So voted. Moving on, we'll go to city council motions. First motion of the evening is a motion by Council Lay to request that the city manager facilitate a meeting between the LPD and UML Police to discuss safety issues and collaborative projects between both groups. We have a second to the motion by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Lay.
Thank you. Through you to the manager, I had spoke to you about this motion, so I'd like at this time also to, can I refer this, Mr. Mayor, to Public Safety Subcommittee? So when the report comes back, basically not really looking for a report, just looking to facilitate the meeting, and it'll happen at the Public Safety Subcommittee meeting to talk about issues of cooperation and progress in the city.
Okay, so the maker of the motion would like to amend the motion to include, to also have it sent to the City Council Subcommittee. That's seconded by Councilor Belanger. All in favor of the amendment? All opposed? So voted. All in favor of any discussion, further discussion on the motion? Councilor Elliott.
I don't have any objection to sending it to the public safety, but can the council take a look at it before that meeting is held? I think it's important. I'd just like to see it before it goes to the Public Safety Subcommittee.
Mr. Manager?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm confused. I thought the substance of the motion is you wanted me to bring the UMass Lowell Police and the Lowell Police together to talk about mutual interest and relative to safety.
Yeah,
Do you want that meeting to occur as part of the Public Safety Subcommittee?
Yeah, so I apologize if it's confusing. I really wasn't looking for a report. I was looking more, I was trying to word it so that we can both meet at Public Safety Subcommittee meeting and discuss things that we're doing collaboratively and how we feel we're working together in the city for the best interest.
Okay. I'm sure there might be some sensitive issues that both police chiefs, might be concerned about regarding public safety, but if it's just a collaboration, I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, particularly if we could focus on traffic and having them collaborate with traffic, that's as well. I think the intent's probably more in the neighborhood and what's going on.
It's just
in the
more
neighborhoods.
more on safety issues and how we're working together where the university is growing. There's more students in the city and, and safety-wise as far as everybody working together.
Great, thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Councilor Mercia.
Some time ago, I made a similar motion at the request of Deb Forgione at the Pawtucketville Citizens Council, and she didn't want a meeting, so to speak, to be like a regimented thing. She wanted like a roundtable discussion with UMass Lowell and the safety issues and the city. And I even talked to the Chancellor Jackie Maloney. I asked her if she would be amenable to such a meeting at a round table, perhaps in the City Council Mayor's reception room, and she said sure. It never took place, but it was on issues such as when students first come into the university, are they given a brochure that tells them what's acceptable in the different neighborhoods? Because not everybody's at a dormitory. There are little sporadic spots of people being housed in private residence like Sarah Ave, and there's all kind of disturbances at times. The neighborhood group wanted to know if the people the students that come in are given a notice as what's not appropriate to do, what consequences could take place if these things happen. So this was the gist of my motion, but it never materialized, and now we have a similar motion. So I'm in favor of this motion. I think something like that should take place, so I'm supporting his motion. I think if there's still a need out there to know what's going on between the university and the city and what's right for the students, are they given updates, are they given initial, like a type of, I don't know, information as to how you should behave or what's acceptable, what isn't. That's all.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Manager?
Just, thank you, through you, say, just in response to the motion that you made some time ago, Mrs. Moynihan has reached out several times to the Pawtuckettville Citizens Council to schedule that meeting, and they have put it off and put it off because other matters have come up, but we have, Mrs. Moynihan has tried several times to set up that meeting to no avail.
Realize that.
Any further discussion,
Sorry.
Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. And just, these are all good points. So when we set up the subcommittee meeting, a lot of these points will come up and in the discussion, and I can organize some sort of an agenda that we'll all get in advance. And if you have any questions, just make sure you get in touch with me and let me know what issues we want to touch on. Thank you.
Councilor Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a great motion. I'm going to support it. I'd just like to make one quick bite, if I may, that, to mention that with the addition of the University Crossing at the south end of the bridge, that now includes the campus police headquarters in the rear of that building. And having that headquarters there has really cleaned up that neighborhood tremendously. Statistics have shown that crime has dropped dramatically in that area, specifically because of that police presence and that UMass Lowell presence. So they have helped it to this point, and I appreciate Councilor Leahy bringing it to the floor to even enhance that even further. So I think a lot of good's happened, and we can improve on it. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? So voted. The next motion of the evening is by Councilor Leahy to request that the city manager of the proper department develop a plan to restore and repair Andover Street. Seconded by Councilor Milanazzo. Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. This motion, again, just to, if we can get a report, I believe we've all probably asked numerous questions about this in the past, but I just want to make sure that we've got some sort of a direction on this. So I understand we can't start it in April, but where are we going with this? Councilor Mercy had motions on that, any repairs or actually any work by utilities, that the repair work be done with cement versus asphalt. And a couple of times this year that didn't happen. The potholes are another, we have to fix the potholes, but I just want to make sure that, someone's researching, are there grants out there? Is there any money that's available to help projects like this in other cities? Because it is a major gateway to the city. It's a beautiful road, and if we're going to keep it the way it is, then we have to make sure that we keep up with it, because after the last few winters especially, the road is just, it needs repair, and it needs to be restored. So that's the gist of the motion. I'm not expecting a miracle, but let's make sure we're on track to, have it done again. So I can't remember the last time it was done, but it was a major job, major project last time. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor Mercy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do appreciate this particular motion because I have spoken to people on Andover Street, and you might not realize it unless you're walking. When you drive by, anywhere looks nice, but when you get out and actually walk and see that the slabs are lifted, and many people walk the sidewalk on Andover Street, and the sidewalks are in deplorable condition. And someone asked me to bring that up, and so I'm glad that you did, because he's absolutely right. And I know we don't have a boatload of money, but it really needs to be done. And I can remember many years ago with city manager Brian Martin, who had a big contract come in, and they did do all the individual slabs of cement on Andover Street. That was a long time ago, but the sidewalks are in bad shape as well. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is a motion by Council Leahy as well. Request the city manager of the proper department examine the intersection at Princeton Boulevard and Baldwin Street for possible light upgrades and sidewalks. Seconded by Council Leary. Council Leahy.
Thank you. Through you to the manager. Again, we've spoken on this even 3 or 4 years ago, and I know that you're aware of it. A couple people brought it back up to us again. Just want to make sure that it's on, schedule with the state. I think it's a state intersection we were talking about. So just to make sure that, if we make a little noise, maybe we'll move up the list. But it's one of the older intersections in the city that needs to be redone. And I don't know if I put it in there, but let's see so upgrades to the sidewalks, people in the neighborhood were asking too. If the sidewalks at that intersection get repaired or established, maybe we could look into a sidewalk along the park that runs down Hadley Field. So that would be more of our project, but even just something to make it a little bit easier for the families to bring their children over. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is a motion by Council Rourke to request the city manager name the access road at LeBlanc Park in honor of Robert and Pauline Vivier for their many years of service to the Pawtuckettville Youth Organization.
Second.
We have a second by Council Mercia. Council Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think you have a couple speakers.
Joseph Shabuk.
Good evening, Mayor Kennedy, City Manager Murphy, and members of the Lowell City Council. My name is Joe Shabuk, and I live at 17 Penny Street. I'm currently the president of the Pawtuckettville Youth Organization, which is the youth baseball and softball league in Pawtuckettville. I'm here with my vice president, Corin LaLiberty, and our past president, Ray Booton, who stepped down this year. We're here tonight in support of Councilor Rourke's motion to name the access road at LeBlanc Park in honor of Bob and Pauline Vivier for their many years of service to our organization, the PYO. Established in 1961, the PYO is currently celebrating our Emerald or 55th anniversary year. Annually, we serve over 400 children and families of the community. We are a nonprofit charity organization and are 100% volunteer driven. When I think of the PYO, I can think of no greater example of volunteerism and service to others than Bob and Pauline. We would like to give a few examples tonight of why they are deserving of the honor being put before you tonight. Bob and Pauline have served over 37 years each in the league, and both are still currently active on our board. Bob is a senior league manager and commissioner, and Pauline was a longtime minor league manager of her beloved Angels and currently serves as our minor league commissioner. Estimates indicate that they have coached over 800 children in their 74-plus combined years of service to the PYO. So what brought Bob and Pauline to the PYO? They raised 2 children and brought them up through the ranks. After their children grew out of the league, Bob and Pauline made the decision to remain active in the league and help coach, mentor, and develop our youth. They stayed on and continued to serve the league for many years. Their goal in staying on was realized, and now they've brought 2 grandchildren through the PYO, with their last grandson now coming into his final year of play. Bob and Pauline have served the league in sickness and health and have never had an extended absence due to illness. They've held every position we've had to offer and worked on every aspect of the league, whether officership, president, vice president, secretary, field maintenance, commissioners, managers, or even grill cook on our awards day. Although our spring season ends on by July 4th each year, Bob and Pauline's service and dedication doesn't end there. In the off-season, they're constantly thinking of ways and suggestions to make things better. My phone log from my cell phone will prove that. They've both managed summer travel teams as well as winter workout training programs in the off-season. In fact, Bob runs his own senior league winter workout clinic to get his players ready for the upcoming year, and the players love it. Bob and Pauline organize and run the senior league concession stand, preparing food, picking up supplies, including ice and drinks, and coordinating other parents' coverage for the division. I'm also going to turn the floor over to our past president of the PYO, Ray Booton, to provide some additional context of Bob and Pauline's service. But before I finish, in closing, I ask you vote in favor of this motion to honor their service to the PYO and its families. Thank you very much for your consideration and time.
Ray Booton. Good evening. My name is Ray Booton. I live at 255 4th Ave. Thank you, Mayor Kennedy, Manager Murphy, and city councilors, and especially Councilor Rourke for bringing this motion forward. I've had the privilege to work with Bob and Pauline Vivia for my 15 years as past PYO president and E-board member, executive board member. And to give you an example of Pauline's dedication, she would show up at every registration. She'll be there at every tryout. At our annual banquet, every manager or E-board member has to give 2 hours. We give them a block. And the banquet, which many of you have been to, runs from about 11 to 4. But Pauline and Bob get there at 9:30, and they don't leave until we pack everything away at 6 o'clock at night. They're always there to help. When I first started in the league, Pauline bought, stocked, opened, worked, and closed the concession stand every night. We didn't have the volunteers that we had now. All the parents need to give a couple of hours. Pauline did that every day, day in, day out, through the whole season. To talk about Bob, I had the privilege of coaching with Bob, my 2 sons, for 5 years. I've never seen another manager in our league get the kids back as well as Bob did. He coached the 13 to 15-year-old boys and girls once in a while, and he respected them and they respected him. He was firm. He was very firm, but he was also very fair, and he had their respect. 3 years ago, Bob lost his right leg below the knee. And I found out later in the season that Bob was taking his truck up to the concession stand, one concession stand, using his crutches in a bucket, going over and filling up the ice, going back to his truck to fill the cooler. And he'd have to make 2 or 3 trips. This is within 2 months of him having major surgery. So he says he's staying because of his 2 grandkids, Ryan and Tyler, which this past year he had the privilege of coaching both on the same team. But for Bob and Pauline, it's more than just for their grandkids. It's for all the kids of Pawtucketville and all the kids that they've helped. So I would hope that you would approve their motion tonight. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
No, done.
Any further discussion on the motion? Councilor Rourke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the speakers said it better than I could. I'd like to refer us also to the Board of Parks, and if possible, if we can get this ready by opening day, I think it'd be a nice gesture to the Viviers for all their time and service to the PYO. Thank you.
Councilor Mercy?
I'd like to take a roll call so that we can present this to the Board of Parks as to how we voted. So if we could have a roll call on it.
Okay, Councilor Mercy has requested a roll call on a motion by Councilor Rourke to refer this matter to the Board of Parks, the naming of the access road of LeBlanc Park in honor of Robert and Pauline Vivier. Roll call, please.
Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Leary.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
9 yeas.
And could I just offer, Mr. Mayor, the Board of Parks meets the last Wednesday of the month, and I will be honored to go along and present your, if you'd like to go too, it's at 6 o'clock at the JFK right across, and so I'm honored that everybody supported that. They certainly are tremendous people. I know them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next motion of the evening is a motion by Council Belanger. Request that the Substance Abuse Subcommittee review the First Watch program and co-op program, both of which combat opiate addiction.
Second.
We have a second by Councilor Elliott. Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make these 2 programs known to the city residents, Mr. Mayor, that they were just unveiled last Thursday at the Mayor's Opiate Abuse Citywide Task Force, which was well attended. We had all first responders at the table, city councilors, just all the city councilors were there, first responders, educators, and Judge Brennan from Lowell District Court as well. It was extremely, extremely well attended, some great input, but what was rolled out by John Chumley of Trinity Ambulance was the First Watch program. It's one-of-a-kind software that allows the city real time on the opiate effort, on addiction, when overdoses occur, when a needle is found, if somebody's found on the street. This gets automatically input to the database, and you can get weekly, up-to-the-date flashes. It'll be up to the manager, can send who is liable to receive this information. However, it's up-to-the-date, real-time, in that we are only the 9th one in the whole country to introduce this software. So we're very proud what Trinity Ambulance has done, being our first EMS responder. So it's important that we make this well known to all city departments throughout the city, as well as Chief Taylor also unveiled his co-op program, which is the Community Opioid Outreach Program, where he will in turn work in tandem with this program, and he will designate a police officer to this and a caseworker to these individuals. Now, this allows us to track those, we can look at reports daily and find out who the frequent flyers, I'll say, to the emergency rooms. You could look and say, Jane Doe she's allegedly overdosed 3 times this week. Let's find her. Let's encourage her to enter treatment. Obviously, you can't force them to do anything, but it's a very aggressive, proactive approach to the opiate addiction. The two together will work in tandem, and I believe help us immensely with the addiction problem here in the city. So I think it's important that we roll it out to the public and to all stakeholders on this fight. So with that being said, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to refer this to the Substance Abuse Subcommittee for presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so we have that motion seconded. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, all opposed, so voted. The last motion of the evening is a motion by Councilor Samaras to request that the city manager of the proper department seek to remove tents, trash, and drug paraphernalia from the area under the Lord Overpass on the Middlesex Street side. Seconded by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Thank you to you, Mr. Manager. This is an area that I'm concerned with. What you have in this area, tents have been set up by people. The place is strewn with garbage, drug needles. Basically, it's become a dangerous area, and I think it's especially dangerous to our children. There are those who would say, leave it alone. But I think we need to take those people out of that area, give them the beds that they deserve, and help them to lead a better life. Another reason, there's a Dunkin' Donuts that right across in that area, right across the canal, and there are approximately 700 cars a day that go through the takeout area, and that's what they see. This is a gateway area to the city, and I think this is something that has been a problem for a long time, but I think it has to be dealt with. So, Mr. Manager, I'd like to see what can be done to it for a very difficult problem, but something that where we're making so many changes and the city is going in such a great direction. We need to address this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Last section of the agenda is announcements. Are there any announcements? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Mercia. All in favor, all opposed, we stand adjourned. Thanks. Yeah, okay.